So again, welcome here to our virtual parent coffee. It's one of the things that we started doing remotely when we weren't having visitors on campus last year was just connecting in this virtual space. And I think through time, it's a pretty convenient thing for parents. Maybe some who work or don't normally drive their kids to school are still able to attend. And of course, this is a nice venue in which to record the meeting and make it available for others later. So let me go ahead and begin with my presentation. Just wanting to orient you all to life around the Pine School these days. So first, a few announcements. I wanted to circle back to Richard Gary. He was the speaker who our Parents Association sponsored to come and give both a parent and a student program about digital safety. And so his his presentation, the theme of it is this idea that our virtual footprints are public and permanent. And so really trying to help kids think about how creating their best online selves. Heidi K has worked with Richard to provide a resource page for the Pine School community. So I am going to show that to you all really quickly here. This is a page that will be available to you through a password and through a login and password. And Mr. Gary has just curated this for the Pine School. So he's thanking us for having him here. And then down below, it's got some videos that you can refer to and also some other resources. So if you are interested to circle back to make perhaps a comment that your child made about the presentation they heard on campus, or if you weren't able to attend Richard Gary's parent presentation, I think that you'll find this to be a really, really welcome resource. So just know that that information is coming to you as well. I believe it will also be in the nightly news or perhaps in an email directly from Ms. K, but I just wanted to encourage you all to check that out if you didn't have a chance to see Richard's presentation. Okay, let me go back to my other announcements now. Some other things to tell this group about. The school store is now open from 8 to 8:30 in the morning, and then from 10 to 10:15 during our daily snack time. So we've got some snacks to go in there. We'll have some drinks soon, non-caffeinated things, of course. And then in that 10 to 10:15 block, we often have a breakfast item. Sometimes it's a muffin, sometimes it is a chicken biscuit. It just depends. I believe those items are available on Flick's menu, though, so you can see what's coming. The Parents Association, I think led by Lauren Thomas, has coordinated having volunteers in the school store space. So thank you to parents who are volunteering to staff that for us in the morning. And then in the break time for students, we've got a couple middle schoolers right now getting that ball rolling. I volunteered my child just to get someone in there that would show kids how that snack time and that school store space can work for them. But we hope through time to have other student volunteers in there as well, and hopefully giving some input on what we might want to offer in the school store, both snacks and clothing wise. But it looks great, and know that you're welcome to come in here, in that drop off time. If you need to run in and pick something up, maybe a lost tie or a Spirit shirt, you are definitely welcome. I also want to thank the Parents Association, because the faculty and staff love our beverage treats. So I'm not sure if all parents are aware of this, but the Parents Association has been thinking creatively about how to say thank you to the Pine School faculty and staff. And I really appreciate the uplifting effort. There is a small fridge in the downstairs faculty and staff room, and it's got some sodas and sparkling water in there. And I just know that my colleagues and I are enjoying running in there sometimes in the afternoon just to get a little a bubbly treat and to finish out the day. So thanks, PA, for thinking of that and also for prioritizing faculty and staff appreciation. You likely saw, onto the next announcement here, you probably saw an email from Ms. Haley Nieves. She's our middle school 7th and 8th grade science teacher, but also this year we'll be putting on the hat of our musical director. Sean Carlson will be helping from the wings, but is honestly pretty happy that there's someone else among us who is eager to pick up those reins. So those auditions for The Little Mermaid are coming up soon, and if you've got an aspiring thespian or musical theater dramatist, hopefully they will audition. That is an opportunity offered to our middle and upper school students. We do try and cast our upper school students a little bit like into maybe some of the larger roles just because they don't have as many years left with us at Pine, but we certainly see wonderful talent in middle school and upper school together, and it takes all of the effort to put on a great show. The other thing I want to make you aware of is that we've got some fall district games and meets that are going to be coming up here in the next few weeks. So October is the month where we close out fall sports and then slowly start our winter sports season. But definitely keep an eye on the school calendar if you'd like to come out and support our nights. You'll have lots of opportunities to do that. Okay, on to some other events and dates. It's getting into the season, so the winter holiday season is always a busy one around here, and also that transition time between fall and winter sports. So I wanted to highlight a few things that we can all be looking forward to. First of all, tomorrow we have the Pine Invitational. I think it's the Fleet Feet Invitational that will be on our campus. And we really have an awesome cross-country course. It's dynamic, it's challenging. And so we look forward to hosting runners here tomorrow for what promises to be a great cross-country meet. Next Wednesday, it is not an instructional day for students, but faculty will be on hand to have parent-teacher conferences. And we also have our 10th and 11th graders involved in some testing. So our 10th graders will take a practice ACT, and then the 11th graders, like many 11th graders across the nation, will be taking the PSAT as part of the National Merit Qualifying process. But please know that you will hear more communication about that. Hopefully you've been able to sign up for parent-teacher or parent-advisor conferences if that's something of interest to you. On Friday, a week from today, speaking of cross-country, Beth and I are looking forward to walking the cross-country course with anyone who might like to join us. So again, it's a really pretty course. In its entirety, it's about 3.1 miles. It's a 5K. We may cut a few corners, so I don't want to promise you that long of a walk, but it's really a pleasure to go through the course and just see it, enjoy our campus from a different perspective. Beth and I did this last year around the same time and had a lot of fun. So just put that on your calendar. We'll meet and start about 8:30, so right after drop off. Looking ahead a little further, we will have our homecoming dance on 10/23, and I'm going to pause and apologize. I think I left off the 10/22 middle school bash date. Excuse me. Left off that middle school bash date. That's on Friday, and then the homecoming dance will be on Saturday. Information about purchasing tickets for the homecoming dance has gone out. On 10/29, that's a Friday, we will look forward to celebrating Halloween on campus. Halloween is on Sunday this year. I'm sure we'll have a tired group on November 1st, that Monday. But always love to celebrate Halloween on this campus. It's a ton of fun. And just know that you'll hear more information from your division leaders about those opportunities. Our lower school definitely does it up and has a great time with that holiday. Moving on into November, on the 6th of November, it will be Saturday Night Live. And hopefully you saw your child head out the door to school today or jump out of the car in their Saturday Night Live shirt. I've got mine on. I see Janet's got her shirt on and a couple others as well, where we gave them out to all the students and also to some other adult volunteers who are helping with the auction. That, of course, is being led by Amy Swan this year. I think we'll end up with some extras and probably put them for sale at a nominal amount in the school store. But Saturday Night Live, yeah, the most common question we're getting is, what's the attire? What are people wearing to Saturday Night Live? And so I want to offer to you that I know we'll see some people in costume. I've already heard from a few who are planning to dress up as their favorite Saturday Night Live characters. So if that is what you enjoy, I would say go for it. And other than that, just think of wearing something you might wear out to a night on the town in a city, in a metropolitan area. So, what might you don if you were going to go out for a Saturday night in New York? But it won't be a black tie event. Of course, if you'd like to wear a tuxedo, have at it. I think that we'll see a wide array of dress and costumes. On Thursday, after the auction, we will have our Veterans Day Assembly and also host an admissions open house. If any of you are interested in helping out with our admissions efforts, please let Beth Lettengarver know. That's always a great time to have parents here to greet prospective parents and shed a little light from their perspective on what it means to be at the Pine School. But that Veterans Day Assembly, it's really lovely. It's an awesome, awesome time that we pause as a school to recognize everything our armed forces have done for our country, and we often highlight that with a special speaker as well. I am going to host the next virtual coffee on Friday, the 12th of November. So just wanted to let you know that that will come in about a month's time. And then also clue you into our annual food drive. We've had this for years and years here. And so from the 15th to the 19th of November, we will run our annual food drive, and we will earn points for our blue and gold teams with our donations. And then kind of closing out the time until we break for Thanksgiving, I also wanted to make you aware that on the 18th, that's a Thursday, we will host Gallery Night. And Gallery Night is a wonderful event where we display so much work from our visual artists on this campus. And we use the space in the hallway above the breezeway right off the library, and just, put our fine arts department puts up some wonderful, wonderful displays. So hopefully you'll be able to drift through and come check out our art. So that takes me through my list of upcoming dates and events. Let's move on to the health update I like to offer every time we gather virtually. So first of all, COVID-19 in Pine, cases in the last 2 weeks on our campus have really tapered off. And I would say tapered off before that as well. What we see in our local community is certainly reflected here on campus. We've only had one Pine student on campus in the last 2 weeks that necessitated some contact tracing. We have had a few other cases, but as the nurse and I look at those, we see them coming from family exposure. So we appear to have turned the corner with COVID-19 in our local community. Again, as I mentioned in the letter I wrote to you not too long ago, I look for that weekly report that comes out from the Florida Department of Health. And, this past week, the positivity rate in Palm Beach County and the state was down to 6.5%. Martin County was a little higher, but still falling in a very positive way. And the case counts are also declining. So I'll take a look at those numbers when they come out on Monday. And I'm just, kind of hoping we'll get to a place very soon where what's happening in the area mimics a little bit more like what we saw in the early summer. And even heading back to those early summer numbers, I am also hopeful to see that vaccination rates, both locally and at the state level, have increased so much since June. And so really do feel optimistic about all of those things. I know we have a number of parents who would prefer that students don't come to school in their masks, that is an optional choice that families are left to make. I definitely appreciate that, but also thank you for your patience as we just kind of get over the hump here. I wanted to share with you, I think I did this in the letter I wrote as well, but over 80% of Pine employees are now vaccinated. And, as an employer, I do encourage that choice for them, but also respect the fact that everyone is going to follow up with their own personal health in the way that they see best. So I'll go quickly through the family cooperation piece of health and wellness. This has become a habit for me as well. And honestly, I think that this is a great reminder, regardless of what illnesses we might be navigating, to encourage you to always go through that daily health check with your children. How are they feeling? Kind of, tired, headachy, whatever it might be, just to be especially attuned to those mild symptoms that I think, in the past before COVID, we might have just said, hey, let's buck up, let's go to school. But, here's me saying, please just err on the side of caution and choosing to keep children at home and do not send sick children to home. Our nurse, when she meets with a child here who's not feeling well, she'll assess their symptoms and, might require them to go home and to get a negative COVID test to return to school. That really comes from the symptoms they're having and, the how many symptoms. But now that COVID is not as widespread in our community, and now that those positivity numbers are falling, it puts our nurse in a position to say, well, maybe it's not as likely that what this child is experiencing is COVID. And I would say the confirmation there is we are definitely observing children home with other ailments. They're home with a cough, they're home with a fever, there's some other bug floating around, and it's not COVID. And so it is good, though, to distinguish the difference there, just again, for in support of public health here. I'll remind you, as always, that if anyone in the family is waiting for a COVID-19 test result, no one from the family may come to school. And that really has to do with wanting to keep those close contacts in place as before we as we wait to learn more. And then also just want to compliment our families for their transparency and communication. I think it's so great that we have got the trust and the process going here at school. Families definitely self-report those COVID cases to us. And what's so great is that the nurse and I are often able to work much, much more quickly than the Department of Health does. And the other thing I'll mention about that is that, Candace and I are trying to make some changes with our quarantine protocols to really use testing a lot more prescriptively and aggressively to get healthy children, in class and back in class. So, I think that the availability and convenience of rapid testing and the fact that it's, improved through time here is really making a difference for us. So again, just hear me say thank you for your support for our public health efforts. And also, I appreciate your patience. I know I've got some very anxious people ready to see their children come to school with the choice to wear a mask. And I understand your concerns. I appreciate your perspectives. And again, just let's hold on. Let's see where we are Monday, and keep our fingers crossed that Florida really is returning to to the the state we found ourselves in the early part of the summer. Okay, now with all of that behind me, I'm going to take a breath and shift gears. I'm sure many of you tuned in this morning to meet Kathleen Bracken. She is our Director of College Counseling starting January 2022. The Pine School has been blessed for so many years to have Janet Pacifico at the helm of our college counseling efforts here, and she has just done tremendously, especially through what can be a challenge. You think about a new high school establishing its reputation, educating colleges about our program and our students and our values and how we know we are preparing our students for college. Janet has done so much to connect the Pine School with many, many colleges across the country and even a few internationally. We wish her all the best as she retires. I'm so grateful that Janet is staying in place through this fall to finish the counseling process with the class of 2022. However, we are lucky and fortunate that Kathleen is going to be joining us in January and has already started making some connections here at the Pine School. I'm going to come out of this presentation and we'll just go back to viewing each other in our little tic-tac-toe boxes here. And Kathleen and I are just going to have a conversation and invite you to listen into it. So let me leave my presentation. Okay. All right. So welcome everyone. Kathleen, welcome. Can we hear you? Can you hear us?
I sure can. Yeah, I hope everyone can hear me.
Awesome. Great. Well, I really appreciate your tuning in virtually. This is another really cool feature of having these meetings in a digital space. Kathleen, why don't you let this group know where you are right now?
I am working at the Jones Stewart School right outside of Albany, New York. So I'm in my office at Jones Stewart at the moment.
Awesome. So as we begin to get to know you and welcome you to the Pine School, I'd love for you to tell this parent group a little bit about your background and what drew you into college counseling.
Yeah, it happened very randomly, like I guess a lot of the best things in life do. But I studied art history in college and ended up working at a museum when I graduated. They had a volunteer program for children in the area, and I found that I really enjoyed working with the kids through that. When I left the museum, I moved into the corporate world for a period of time, and I just felt like I really missed working around teenagers. So I saw the job posting at Jones Stewart in 2005. And I have been at Jones Stewart ever since then. I became the Director of College Counseling here in 2008, so I've been here a long time. I think what I love most about it is just the way that kids are so honest and so real. I think it's really a privilege to get to be with them on a journey from really, childhood into becoming an adult. And I think college is a really important step along that process. My students always make me laugh. I mean, they don't miss a thing, even when you think they're not paying attention. I come into school with a new pair of pants. They're like, "Oh, Miss Bracken, are those new pants that you're wearing?" So I just enjoy getting to know them and working with them. And then the nice thing about being in a community for a long time is that you really do get to see them go on to be adults. You remember working with kids who said, I want to be studying pre-medicine, and they're doctors now. And that's really just so cool to form those relationships.
I would agree. I would agree. It's yeah, adolescents are great. I have a soft place in my heart for teenagers. They're really fun, and I'm not surprised to hear that that drew you into working with them through the college counseling process. So you have been at Doan Stewart for a really long time. I, of course, as a head of school looking to hire a college counselor, I think, wow, that's great to have someone who's been committed for such a long time to their particular school. So why this move? Why Pine?
Janet posted the job on an e-list for college counselors back in April. And what caught my attention was Hobe Sound. My grandparents retired to Stewart in 1988. So I kind of grew up visiting the area a lot, and I knew it was really close to Stewart. My parents are now retired and living in Palm City. So the idea of being near family was really, really appealing to me. So for the first time since 2008, I updated my resume and sent it along to Vinny. Once I visited Pine, I really could tell that it was a special community, and it felt like it would be a good fit for me. I was impressed with the way students interacted with each other, the way they interacted with the faculty here. You could tell that they really have close relationships with their teachers, that the teachers really know them as people. And I was lucky enough to teach like a mock class to the class of 2023. And after I worked with them, I just thought, oh gosh, like I would really like to work with these kids. So it's a big move, but I'm really excited to be there in the community. I just can't wait to get to know everyone on a personal level, and kind of learn all the unique things about the kids and what they're doing and what their hopes and aspirations are.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's great. I'm gonna hope the weather has a little bit to do with it too. I think this winter might be a little nicer for you, right, Kathleen? Just a little, just a little. So speaking of making that transition in January, could you share with these parents, how you and Janet have worked together, how she's been supporting you to just set up this transition so that it goes well?
I could not ask for anyone better than Janet to help me transition into the role. When I interviewed at Pine, I was immediately struck by how passionate she is about the work that she does with the students there and how much she really, really loves the community. And she has been incredible to me in giving me kind of guidance, answering all the nitty-gritty questions. I got to spend a week with her for Pine's Professional Development Week in August. We also spent time together at the NACAT conference, which is a college counseling conference in Seattle. She has really taken me under her wing and told me what I need to know, answered all my questions, no matter how silly or small or big. So I can't thank Janet enough for everything she's done.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not surprised at all that she's been a good mentor to you. And I think, again, another fortunate thing for Pine is that, Janet will be in the area. She will be connected to the school through the spring as we, really hone it in and see where our 2022s are going to land come August. And so, it gives me really a lot of peace of mind just to know that Janet is going to be around and is happy to continue to be a resource to the Pine School and to you as needed. So that's really great. And then I think, through this virtual connection, just to let the parents know, Kathleen and I will look at a few times when she'll be able to schedule a virtual meeting with the class of 2023. Those are the current juniors who she'll begin to counsel when she is here in January, and then also with their parents. The juniors, as I mentioned earlier, they're taking that PSAT next week on Wednesday. So perhaps when those results come in or after that experience is behind them, it'll be an opportunity for Kathleen to meet with them as a group. So let's see. Well, maybe I'm getting ahead of my questions here. I was also hoping, Kathleen, you could tell the parents here a little bit about when you do meet with students and describe that timeline to them about how you counsel students as they hone in on the colleges they'll apply to.
Yeah. I, of course, feel like it's important to have multiple touch points with students along the way. So for 9th and 10th grade, a lot of what that looks like is meetings as a group. A lot of what I talk about with underclassmen in particular is not, where you should be applying or where you should be looking at college, but rather what they can do right now to have, the maximum amount of options in the future. So I talk to them about things like, getting good grades and challenging yourself appropriately, being involved in extracurricular activities. I also really enjoy running like a mock admission game with students to kind of help them see the perspective of a college admission officer and sort of what's in their control and then what's out of their control, because I think that is important to understand. I do require meetings with every junior at least twice. So I like to do a one-on-one meeting with every junior and then a second meeting with the junior and the parents together. Just to help me kind of get to know them, especially being new at Pine. I really want to get as much data and information as I can from the students to help me advise them about an appropriate school fit and ask them, questions just to get to know them. And then senior year, I'm very, very hands-on. I want to proof every single thing that leaves the school. So I'm definitely a control freak. I'm a micromanager about that. So senior year, like unlimited meetings.
Yep.
I guess one other thing I would say is that I really am always happy to have a chat with families if they're feeling anxious about something. If you have a sixth grader and you're nervous about college and I can help to answer a question for you, reach out to me. Maybe not in September or October, but truly I want to be a resource to everyone in the school. So
Thanks so much for that. As students begin to look specifically at colleges, Kathleen, what advice do you give them, and what do you hope they'll pay attention to as they start that search?
I think the most important thing for students to do, and this is so easy to overlook, I see a rush to start to say, do I want to be in a city? What school do I want to go to? I would ask them to pause and ask themselves some questions. What do I like about the Pine School? What would I change to make it better for me? What classes have most challenged me? What classes do I most enjoy? I think when they start with some self-reflection and really look critically at where they are right now, that's going to help them look at schools and say, okay, is this sort of feature a match for me and what I'm looking for? I ask the juniors, what will success in college look like for you? What does that mean? Is that a stepping stone to a job? Is it a social experience? Is it all of the above? I think those guiding questions can really help students when they're visiting a campus start to focus on the things that are going to be a good fit for them.
Yeah, that's some great advice. And I think, what I hear you describe there is what brings out the counseling part of this job. I mean, it truly is. It's conversational, it's reflective, and it's wanting kids to be in the driver's seat, really feeling like they've got some choices to make and some thinking that is going to serve them well in the long run. I'm looking at our time. We are creeping past 9:30, and I want to be sensitive to everyone's mornings. Looking out, we've got a lot of parents listening in right now, Kathleen. Perhaps we should close by, hearing a little bit from you about what you would offer to parents who, would be going through this process with their child, maybe in a year or two, or maybe, a little anxious about it right now with a middle schooler.
Yeah. Take advantage of having me in the community. You're really fortunate that you at Pine have a dedicated college counselor. It is literally my job to help you with the process. So I want to be a partner with parents. I never want college to be a source of conflict or anxiety in your household. And I'm here to help. So I would say that the best thing is take advantage of that. I have parents at Doan Stewart right now who will email me and say, we found this summer program and we want to talk to our daughter about it. But if we suggest it, she's going to say no. Can you suggest it to her? I'm happy to do that for you. If you have a child who's reluctant to go and visit colleges, I can work with you to strategize a way to make that a little bit easier. And I would also just say to have as much fun as you can through the process. Like, I think people have this, fear that it's going to be really stressful or a chore, but I, couldn't do this job if it was horrible and awful. I really, really love being a college counselor. I think it's really fun. And I hope that your family can learn how to have fun in a way that, is appropriate for you, whether it's, you're going to sample the waffles in every single dining hall or find the best local coffee shop or the weirdest thing for sale in the bookstore. Have fun while you're doing it.
That is really great advice. That is really great advice. I myself remember the first tour I took of the college I ended up matriculating to, and it was with my mom in the middle of a snowstorm, just walking through a winter wonderland. And lo and behold, that's where I landed, and it was a ton of fun. So, that's a great little nugget to offer our families today. Well, parents, thank you so much for tuning in. Kathleen, I appreciate your making yourself available from afar. And I'm going to go ahead and close out our meeting and stop the recording. So